The Philippine Navy is not famous for big-ticket platforms. Unlike its neighbors, it does not operate destroyers, nuclear submarines, or advanced strike aircraft. But in the maritime gray zone of the West Philippine Sea, sometimes small ships matter more than the glamorous ones. The Alvarez-Class patrol vessels, ex-US Navy Cyclone-class ships, are an example of how small but dangerous platforms can play a role far beyond their tonnage. These ships began life as US Navy Cyclone-class patrol coastal vessels. Originally built in the 1990s, their purpose was to provide fast, heavily armed patrol ships for special operations support and coastal security. With a displacement of only 331 tons and a top speed exceeding 35 knots, they were fast, agile, and carried enough firepower to intimidate anything in their weight class. For decades, the US Navy operated 14 of them, many in the Persian Gulf, where they escorted tankers and deterred Iranian fast attack craft. When the US decided to retire the class, Washington transferred several to partner navies. The Philippines received its first in 2018, renaming USS Cyclone as BRP General Mariano Alvarez. This marked the start of what is now called the Alvarez-Class in Philippine service. In September 2023, two more arrived, BRP Valentin Diaz and BRP Ladislao Diwa. With 3 hulls, the Philippine Navy gained a small but significant fleet of patrol vessels designed for coastal combat. Technically, the Alvarez-class offers modest capabilities. Each ship displaces around 330 tons, is crewed by about 28 sailors, and mounts a mix of weapons, a 25mm Bushmaster chain gun, 40mm grenade launchers, and multiple 50-caliber heavy machine guns. Some retain mounts for Stinger manpads or additional autocannons. Sensors are basic, focused on navigation and surface search. They are not equipped with anti-ship missiles or advanced air defense radars. Compared to a frigate, they are lightly armed. Compared to civilian vessels or the small wooden ships often used in gray zone confrontations, they are intimidating. Why does this matter for the Philippines? Because Manila faces not just traditional warships, but also the so-called Maritime militia and the China Coast Guard. In the West Philippine Sea, confrontations are often fought with ramming, water cannons, and swarms of small vessels rather than missile salvos. Against such opponents, a fast, heavily armed patrol ship is often more useful than a slow, expensive frigate. Alvarez-class vessels can be dispatched quickly to respond to incursions, establish presence, and provide an unmistakable symbol of sovereignty. The Philippine Navy's Littoral Combat Force integrates these ships as frontline assets. The larger frigates, like the Jose Rizal-class and the newer Miguel Malvar-class, are valuable but scarce. They cannot be everywhere at once. Alvarez-class ships fill the gaps. They patrol near Palawan, Zambales, and increasingly the northern waters around Batanes, close to the Luzon Strait. Their job is not to win fleet battles, but to maintain a continuous naval presence in contested waters, to show the flag, and to complicate Chinese attempts to dominate by default. Recent years have made this role urgent. China's gray zone tactics rely on deploying Coast Guard cutters, maritime militia trawlers, and even drones to swarm disputed features like Scarborough Shoal or Second Thomas Shoal. These swarms can intimidate civilian supply missions or block Filipino fishing boats. A frigate is overkill in such scenarios and politically escalatory, but an Alvarez-class patrol vessel, armed, naval, but small, strikes a balance. It signals determination without inviting accusations of militarization. In this sense, the class is well suited for the current stage of the maritime contest. Strengths and weaknesses deserve sober assessment. On the plus side, Alvarez-class ships are cheap to operate, quick to deploy, and provide visibility at sea. They are ideal for escorting supply runs to outposts, interdicting smugglers, and shadowing Chinese vessels. They add numbers to a navy that is chronically short of hulls. They also offer training opportunities. Young officers can learn command skills on these ships before moving to larger warships. On the negative side, their age is real. Built in the 1990s, they require extensive maintenance. Spare parts are not always available, and electronic systems are dated. Without missiles or modern sensors, they cannot stand against even medium-sized combatants. In any clash with Chinese frigates or missile boats, they would be hopelessly outgunned. Their utility lies in presence and persistence, not in high-intensity combat. Still, presence matters. In deterrence theory, denying an opponent a free hand can be as valuable as destroying his fleet. By patrolling reefs, shoals, and supply lines, Alvarez-class ships force China to calculate political and military risks before acting. They also enable the Philippines to coordinate with allies. During joint exercises such as Exercise Elan with Australia or maritime cooperative patrols with the US and Japan, Alvarez-class ships provide additional platforms to practice interdiction, boarding, and littoral operations. These exercises reinforce not only naval skills, but also the political message that the Philippines is not alone. Looking ahead, the Alvarez-class will likely serve for another 5 to 7 years. Horizon 3, the Philippine Modernization Program, aims to acquire larger offshore patrol vessels and more frigates. Eventually, the small ex-Cyclone ships will be retired. But until those new hulls arrive, the Alvarez-class remains essential. Some analysts suggest Rakaru upgrading them with better communications, electronic support measures, or integration with UAVs. Even without major upgrades, simply linking them into a wider sensor network with BrahMos missile batteries onshore would create a sensor shooter chain. Alvarez-class ships detect and track, while BrahMos batteries provide the strike. The strategic geography of the Philippines makes this synergy important. In Palawan, Alvarez-class ships can guard the southern approaches to the Spratlys. In Zambales, they can monitor Scarborough Shoal. In Batanes, they can serve as pickets in the Luzon Strait, where any conflict over Taiwan would spill southward. For a navy with limited resources, spreading a few agile ships across these choke points creates a web of presence. It is not dominance, but it is denial. Denial of uncontested Chinese control.